Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz. Thank you for stopping by. I thought I would do another whipping chat. You guys seem to really like that last one I did, which is funny because I am not a huge one for whipping chats. They're fine. It's just for me, I would rather actually be seeing something other than just somebody laying down drills. But I guess some people really like it, and I really appreciate that, and I think that's really nice. Plus, it gives me a outlet to just talk. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I really enjoy talking. Now, I'm just trying to figure out this thing here. You're definitely going to see my hand, but I mean, that's part of the whole thing. You're going to hear my plastic a little bit, although I have to move this because it's right at the edge and it literally is hurting my arm. Hold on one second. I'm going to pause this. All right, that's better. Anyway, so yeah, I figured I would do another one. Now, today is September 9th, I think. Monday the 9th, I believe. I have watched my granddaughter all day. I mean, I watch her till about 4-ish, you know, when my son-in-law picks her up. And I had my mom come over too, because she stayed at my sister's for the weekend. Because my mom is a widow, and it's nice that she, you know, gets out. I mean, my mom's very active, very healthy, very active. Let me see. Can I do this a better way? Let me see. I'm going to move this back a little bit here. So you can actually maybe see me doing it, like, without my hand being caught. Well, my hand's going to be in the way anyway. Let's see. Maybe if I pull it up a little bit. I want to be able to see it because that way I can judge it. I thought that was going to be okay, but I guess not. Maybe like that. As you can see, I'm working on a Samhain night. I'm getting very close to the face. I've done the top here of the head. It actually is coming out really, really nice. I am loving this painting. I'm really loving working on it. It's got a ton of black. Right now I'm working on 939, which I'm not sure if that's a dark black or dark blue. I know there's a 938 and a 939. I think it's a dark black. And I'm really loving working on this painting. It's not a ton of confetti, which is kind of a nice break from that last one. Although generally I love confetti. It's just, the other one was just so big that it kind of overwhelmed me. Usually I don't get overwhelmed that easily with them, but that one was just got a drill in my mouth. That one was just one of those that really did overwhelm me, and I'm taking a break from it. You know, Sunday morning in spring, it's very beautiful. I'm about halfway done. I will do it again. You know, I'm not going to put it aside and never touch it again. That's, you know, once I'm done with this one, I'm going to go back to it. Anyways, I was saying, you know, my mom came over. My mom being a widow, she spends a lot of time alone. That's her choice. I mean, we visit. She comes and visits us and stuff. But she loves to, like, do her garden and do her stuff, you know. Even though she's 83 years old, she's very active. Heck, she does circles around me sometimes, I swear. You know, she does her gardening. She just does all that stuff, you know. She didn't grow vegetables this year, but there's been years where she's grown vegetables, a lot of vegetables, because when my dad was alive, they used to have these huge gardens with potatoes, corn, beans, collard greens, because Portuguese people, we use a lot of collard greens for soup and stuff like that, mainly for soup, although I like it in other ways, you know. And they used to just grow so many things, but of course, since my dad passed, you know, my mom doesn't do as much. She still does a little, but this year she really actually didn't do any of the vegetable growing. It's just her. I mean, for a while there, my son was living there with his girlfriend and the kids, but they've since moved out and they're in their own place. And she doesn't really need a ton of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's great for us to grab. I mean, she brought me some parsley and scallions and chives, which is wonderful because that just grows. Once you plant it, it'll come back. You know, it was too much. You know, it was a lot of work for her. So she just does her flowers and stuff. So, you know, and her dog passed away, a few weeks ago. She had an old dog. She was 17. Fifi. Sweet little tiny thing. Looked like a little miniature fox. Very cute. And so she couldn't stay out of her house, you know, longer than a day because she couldn't bring Fifi anywhere because Fifi was very territorial, especially of my mom. So my sister has pets, I have pets, all the kids have pets, and she would literally pick fights and she would just bark incessantly, you know, because she was basically an only child at the house, you know. And so she would bring her, she couldn't bring her anywhere. So my mom really she didn't stay out much, you know. So now she's able to like stay at my sister's house. She stayed here sometime. Mainly she stays more at my sister's house. It's just how it works. No particular reason. It's just the way it is. Even though my sister's not far from me, she's literally right a mile up the road. Her and my sister have always been a little bit closer. You know, she's the baby, and I'm, you know, the firstborn, and it was just, you know, the way it was. You know, my mom was always closer to her. And honestly, their personalities blend better together. They have a lot of fun together. Not that I don't have fun with my mom, because I do. It's just, honestly, it's like kind of like our roles have been kind of inverted. And I'm more like her mom, you know, because as a kid I was given huge responsibilities very early on. And I mean, that's part of the Gen X thing, but it's also part of my parents, you know. When we came to the States, they were, it's weird. You know, they kind of got stuck in the time there. Like, you know, the 1970s here. And in their heads, we came in 74, August of 74. And in their heads, actually 50 years this year. I'm just thinking I was 6 years old. I'm 56. Yeah, it's 50 years this year. So in their heads, they got it stuck that way. Like the time never progressed there. Like progress never happened there. Especially with like, you know, women's rights. Because I'm sorry, but Portugal back in the day, just like a lot of other places, was very misogynistic, you know. I knew if I had a brother, my brother would have been able to do everything, and I would have been able to do nothing. You know, we really couldn't have boyfriends. It's one that I got married, to be honest with you. They were very, very, very strict. And it was kind of hard. It was not kind of hard. It was very hard because I saw my friends, you know, do the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, go to proms, and, you know, go to dances and stuff. I was never allowed any of that. Some of the parents did assimilate, and my parents eventually assimilated as far as, like, the way they live. You know, they're pretty Americanized, you know, with their life. But they kept us in this weird bubble. You know, it was hard. And I remember a lot of living in Portugal, and it was a lot freer there. It was weird because I know I mentioned last time that I spent a lot of time with my grandmother here, but I also spent a lot of time with my grandmother there because when my mom had my sister, my grandmother kind of like took me to stay with her, kind of just to help my mom. And that's probably one of the reasons why my mom is closer to my sister, because she wound up spending a lot of extra time with her, whereas I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I think that's the reason why I was very close to my grandmother. Because I spent so much time with her. And I remember a lot of stuff there. And honestly, I really was freer there. When I came here to the States, I lost my freedom. Because my parents got stuck in this weird time warp where you had to behave a certain way, you had to dress a certain way, you had to be a certain way, you know, and if you were a girl, that's what happened. Now, I'm not knocking my parents. They did the best they could. And, I mean, you only can do what you know, honestly. You know, if you know a certain way to live and you don't see it as progression, like when they came to the States, you know, the freedoms that were had here, to them it was too much. Now, I'll be honest, Portugal, if you go to especially the mainland and stuff, although I've never been there, but I know people from there, people who've been there, they're a lot more progressive in a lot of things. You know, they continue to evolve, you know, in the culture, and my parents got stuck in it, you know. So yeah, so it was interesting. It was interesting growing up and trying to be an American teenager, because I consider myself American. I really, even though I'm Portuguese by my culture and where I was born, I really am American. You know, I really do connect to being an American, you know, and that's who I am. So it was really hard growing up and going through my teenage years in particular, and having to kind of hide, like, you know, I would kind of date and stuff, like, here and there, you know, and, you know, had to, like, sneak around and all that, and I hated doing that. But, you know, when you're a kid, you're going to do what kids are going to do, especially if you're feeling stifled, and I'm one of those people, I need freedom. It's literally my top value. I did a thing once with a woman who was like, she was always something like life coaching or something, and she just needed kind of volunteers, and I volunteered to do some stuff with her. And you go through, like, you have to have like 10 values or something like that, or 5, I forget. And we went through all these different values. There's a whole bunch of different ones, whether they're, oh, I can't remember, love, family, I don't know, whatever they are. But my top one out of all of them is freedom. And part of the reason my top value is freedom is because my freedom was so stifled that I felt very trapped in my life. I mean, part of the reason I got married at 19 is because I wanted to escape. And you have to remember, back in the 80s, I got married in 87. And I'm not the only one that did this. A lot of us Portuguese girls, it was not an uncommon thing, got married super, super young. And part of that was to escape the confines and the strictness and the suffocation of being a woman, a young woman, in a culture that valued women, but more as, I hate to say this but this is how it was, more like property, okay? And the reason I say this, because literally my dad would say I was his property. He would say me, my mom, and my sister, we were his property. Oh my God, this is why I'm still in therapy after all these years. Because he had his own issues. My dad was highly traumatized, you know, and raised in a very misogynistic environment, you know, so that's really all he knew. And it was, I mean, as I get older, and it's taken me a lot of years to come to terms with a lot of this. As I get older, I realize in his mind, he thought he was doing the right thing. He didn't. He wasn't. Not for me in particular, not for my sister either. But she doesn't have as many memories as I do. Now, as you can see, this tray is kind of a pain in the butt. I washed it, but I just need a better tray. I really, really need a nicer tray. But anyway, plus these drills are super staticky. That's one thing about Diamond Art Club drills you have to be careful with, is they're super staticky sometimes. And it's like, even though they're in the thing here and I breathe on them and blah, 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 and all this stuff, so can you see it? They're trying to like jump on each other. This is taking longer than it really should be. I mean, this is obnoxious, okay? I wish they would do something about this. I don't know what they could possibly do. Maybe spray him down with something. I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, my dad thought he was doing the right thing. He wasn't. But hindsight is 20/20. But you know what's funny? Because when I was a kid, I knew he wasn't doing the right thing. I just felt it in my heart that this wasn't right, you know? And I rebelled. I did. I rebelled in different ways. Him and I, we would definitely get into it. I would talk back, and my mother would be mortified because she was terrified. Man, my dad was not, he was a scary person, you know? And she was afraid, you know? And I was like, well, you can be afraid. I don't want to be. I'm sick of being afraid. So, hold on, I'm just moving this thing out of the way here. So anyway, like I said, he thought he was doing the right thing. He wasn't, but that's neither here nor there. And like I said, being in this culture, it's like they brought us over here, and then they wanted to keep us in their culture. You know, even though they kind of assimilated into the society, and they did a really good job about doing that, as a matter of fact. They wanted to keep us stuck in that world that nobody else was living in, you know. And my parents weren't the only ones, but in my heart or my mind, as I remember, my parents were the most severe about it. You know, they were the most militant about it, okay? Whereas I saw the girls dating and stuff. And now, my husband is Portuguese too. We have very similar backgrounds. He's also a immigrant. He came here when I was just 3 years old, and his sisters and stuff. So they went through some stuff, but they didn't go through what we went through. Which just means that my family, I mean, there was a lot of love in his family, even though his mom was an interesting person. But they knew they were loved. They never didn't know that they weren't loved, you know. In my family, I only really felt love mainly from my grandmother. So clearly there's an issue there, you know. More than normal, okay? It wasn't normal. That's the thing. It wasn't normal. And I'll never normalize it. So when I had my children, I vowed to myself that I would never put my kids through what I went through. Now, did I make mistakes? I did. I think I said this in the other video. I think somehow we always get back to my childhood. I don't know. I don't know. Because I can tell you some stories actually being in Portugal that'd be kind of funny. Some stuff was crazy. My parents did some crazy shit, you know. But, you know, I guess you get to a point in your life you have to kind of like just accept that it is the way things are. I wish things were different, you know. I wish I had felt a different kind of feelings and different relationship, but I didn't, you know. So when I had my children, I always vowed that my children would know, if nothing else, that they would be free. And actually, I was one of those parents. No, I didn't let them be crazy. My kids were good kids. They weren't troublemakers or anything like that, but I let them do the kid thing. I let them do the teenage thing. I let them do the, you know, rebellious thing. I mean, my son was not a hard teenager per se. He really wasn't. Pretty typical boy, but nothing terrible. He wasn't going out drinking, doing, you know, a bunch of stuff or anything like that. My daughter was the one that was more of the wild one, because she's me with no filter. You know, so I let her have her childhood. I let her have her freedom. I let her do the things that I knew she needed to get out of her system, you know. And it wasn't easy. It's never easy dealing with teenagers, no matter who they are. And it wasn't easy dealing with a teenager that's as strong-willed as me, you know, with the freedom to express that strong will. Okay, sometimes I understand why my parents kind of did what they did, but, you know, you can't stifle a person's spirit. It doesn't work out. It doesn't work out well for them and literally for the relationship. It really doesn't. Oops, I just spilled some drills here because my pen was rolling. This desk is not level. It's got a tilt to it, even though it is level. For some reason, the top has a tilt to it. I don't know. I think maybe that's on purpose. I don't really know. Anyway, so yeah, so it was it's definitely another interesting, a very interesting life. I wish I didn't have to think of it sometimes, but I could tell you some fun stories in Portugal. Let me think. And this will just show you the amount of freedom I had there. I had some of that freedom here, but with responsibilities, it's weird. Let's see. I'm just trying to think. There's one that I remember. I came here when I was 6, so every memory I have is 6 and under, okay? So I was probably, when this happened, I was probably around 5, so my sister would have been 3. At the oldest, I was 6, and she was 4, okay? And it just fell. Oh, okay. Sorry, it was just the pool noodle. I'm like, what the heck is that? So anyway, I should say, somehow escaped the house. I think I just did this color. Somehow, we had been sleeping or something, whatever, and somehow we escaped the house. I don't know how we were alone, but believe it or not, my mother would leave us alone there. You know, she'd take off to the city, you know, because we lived in a small village. She would take off and somehow would leave us alone. And she would just tell me, you know, hey, don't do anything. I'll be back, blah, 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 whatever. In this instance, though, my dad, I think, was sleeping because he was a mason and he worked weird hours. Plus, he would go hunting at night for rabbits. To make a few extra bucks. And somehow my sister and I escaped the house. And there had been some rain overnight. And my mother had these big basins outside. She used to wash her clothes in these basins. She didn't have washing machine or anything. Everything was done literally by hand, you know. We didn't even have a bathroom. Like, we had an outhouse. You know, and that was actually, in that village, that was actually pretty good. You know, the first house my dad was in, he built the outhouse, didn't even have that. Anyway, he leveled up and went to this village, which was the village he was actually born in, which I don't know if it's the next village over, I don't really know. And we got out of the house and we pulled, because we had these plugs, so we pulled the plug out of these basin. It must have like poured because these things were full. Either that or my mom had left it in there. I don't really know. I just remember it had rained, but I could be wrong. My memory could be faulty. And we pulled plug on this drain and all the water came out. Now, there was no hardtop or anything there. It's all mud. It's all dirt, you know. And we started playing in the mud. And we were covered in mud. We started throwing it up against the house. Throwing it at each other. Oh, it was a mess. It was an utter mess. You know, and of course, you know, we're kids. We think we're alone. We don't know. We're little. And we're just having a good time. And all of a sudden, we start to see my dad come like out the door. And we're like, oh no. So we ran underneath. It was like a barn or something underneath, as far as I remember. And we ran underneath and he's calling for us and we're just like, no, we're not going to say anything. But then he yelled at it long enough and enough times that we're like, all right, we better do something. We're going to get it. So we came out and he was just like, what the heck did you guys do? You know, needless to say, he was really upset. My mom still was God knows where. And he cleaned us up and he got my grandfather to come and watch us while he took off to work or whatever. So I don't know what the heck was going on that my mom would just leave us, but she did. This is not, believe me, this is not the only time. And so my dad came over to watch us. My grandfather. Supposedly my father said he spanked us and then cleaned us up and put us to bed. Now I don't remember that at all. I just remember him cleaning us up and putting us to bed, you know, because at that point we needed a nap or something. I honestly don't remember Exactly. I just remember actually waking up and my grandfather being there. You know, my dad's dad. Um, he was watching us, and I don't know if my mom was already there or not. I really don't know. What the heck is going on? This thing is sticking here. I hate when that happens. I'm using glue dots, and sometimes they stick to the thing, it's causing a mess. Anyway, so that was one story. Now, my grandfather, he was not a nice person. He really didn't like me. I was a little kid, 6 years old. Last time I saw him alive, I was 6 years old, and he didn't like me. My grandmother, his wife, died 2 weeks before my sister was born. Now, him and her had a very, very rocky relationship. He was extremely abusive. You know, and back in the day, you didn't go to the cops or anything. You know, especially on an island like that, you're stuck. You're really stuck. Although, my grandmother on my mother's side, I'll tell you her story. She was not stuck. And I will always be grateful to her for her courage. Let me turn this light on a little bit here. Okay, that's better. So, what was I? Oh, my grandfather. My grandfather did not like me. And part of the reason he didn't like me is because I look a lot like my grandmother. I guess I still look a lot like my grandmother on my father's side, but I guess I also look a lot like my mom, which is kind of weird, but who knows? Who knows why? And he would be like really mean to me. You know, he would pinch me, give my sister candy, not give me anything. And I didn't like him. Why am I going to like someone who's going to be mean to me like that? You know, I didn't like him and he didn't like me. Okay. And what are you going to do? You can't like somebody that's going to be, cruel, you know, especially as a child. Ugh, I don't get it. Anyway, my grandmother on my mother's side. Oh, she was a trip. She got married when she was 16 years old. And she, of course, got pregnant pretty much right away. She had her son. And then a year later, she had her second son exactly on the day. Her two children, first two children, sons, are born on the exact same day. Now, my grandmother, she was feisty. I think that's probably where I get some of it from. And her husband at the time, who is not my grandfather, he tried to rein her in, okay? And he decided one day he was going to hit her. And she's like, oh, okay. So he did. He hit her. He did whatever he was going to do. And now my grandmother had a brother who was here in the States at that time. I believe he was quite a bit older than her. But she had a younger sister, and her mom was still alive at the time. And my grandmother told the sister and my great-grandmother, so my aunt, or my great-aunt and my great-grandmother, what had happened. Well, the three of them... I love this story so much. I love this story so much. The three of them waited for him to get home and kicked his ass. They kicked his ass. My grandmother threw his ass out and never did anything with him again. You know, they wanted nothing to do with him. And she got divorced. Now, at this time, she would have been, what, maybe 18? At the oldest, 19, I'm guessing. I don't remember the girls, because she's got 3 girls that were born after this whole thing. And she was really brave. At that time, you didn't get divorced. And I'm not talking like, here in the States, it was hard. And, you know, back in the 40s. But there... You have to understand, this is an extremely religious culture at the time, very Catholic. There's no other religion. In the island at that time, The only religion there is Catholicism. That's it. And if you know anything about Catholicism, you know that it's extremely strict, especially when it comes to marriage, And I'm a Catholic, well, sort of. I was raised Catholic, and I raised my kids Catholic, and I know a lot about the faith, because I was into it for a long time. Although I don't practice anymore, I don't really consider myself one anymore. But anyway, that's besides the point. So she decided that she didn't want nothing to do with this man that would do this to her, and she divorced him. Well, her life became really hard after that because there was no support system for a young mother, with two sons, with anything, so she went to work. She had to work. I think I mentioned in my other video that she did a lot of work, crochet work. And she did, I think she might have done like cleaning and stuff, but I think mainly she just sold her work. My grandmother did amazing work. So people would pay her decent money. And then, over the years, she wound up having 3 daughters. And I won't get into the specifics of that, but she wound up having 3 other children. So she had a total of 5 kids, 2 boys and 3 girls. And because of that, and because she was not married any longer, and she was a divorcee, she was like persona non grata, She was considered an outcast in the village. She was considered an outcast, even in her family. She had an aunt who was a nun. I think she was a Carmelite. And her aunt would cross the street if she was there, like if she ran across her, and if she was on the same side of the road, she would cross the street and call her a whore. She was, I don't even know who this woman is. I don't know her name. I know nothing about her other than this. And it was just really hard, and so of course, my grandmother having the daughters and the son, unfortunately they all, because they were all really poor, and I'm telling you poor, I'm talking absolutely dirt starvation poor. The kids wound up going to work. Like my aunt, I have another aunt who's very, very good at crochet. She would go do a lot of that work, but my other aunt, and my mother wound up they used to go clean, for the rich people in the city. And, they would do a lot of that kind of work, servants work. And that's how they got paid. And that's how my grandmother and them eventually survived, until we all came to the States. I think we all came in 1974. Some of them had come earlier, like her youngest daughter is the one that sponsored us to come, my aunt. And she came after she got married. So, I don't know. She probably came in the 60s, late 60s, I'm guessing. Or maybe very early 70s. Probably the late 60s. I think she was here for a while, because you have to be here for a while to be able to sponsor somebody. So my grandmother went through a lot, but you know what? She said she would never be mistreated by another man again. And she said she would rather live alone than to live with somebody who is going to treat her that way, So I will always respect my grandmother for having that kind of courage, because it wasn't easy. It's not easy to just, get rid of the person that's supporting you and not be afraid. I'm not saying she wasn't afraid. I know she probably was afraid. But I think she realized that being that young, I think she realized that he did it once, he's going to do it again. Her dad died when she was, I think she was 3, she said. She was either 3 or 7. My mother's dad died when she was 3 or 7. It's one or the other. I forget which one is which. Both dads died very early on when they were young. And so my great-grandmother, she went through a lot too, raising her kids and doing the things that she had to do to make sure they had food, in their mouths. And a lot of times they didn't. But my grandmother, I'll tell you, for that time, to do what she did, and to live with that stigma, because it was a stigma. And it's not like you can just move to another city and nobody knows you. This is a small island. Everybody at some point knows somebody that at least knows you. You may not know everybody because, there's thousands of people, but somebody's going to know you or your family, Even here, how often do you run into somebody and you're in another town? And I mean, I went on a cruise years ago with my husband, and one of the people, we had the same doctor I think it was the people we were sitting with. I mean, you just never know who you're going to run into. And usually, what do they call it? 3 degrees of separation or something like that. So she was definitely a brave woman, and she lived to be 89. She came to the States, lived by herself all those years. Didn't really want, she had boyfriends, I think, in between. That's how she got my mom and the other 2 girls. But I think she decided after a while she didn't need that. She didn't need that in her life, Unfortunately, she didn't find someone that treated her right, in my view. And that's sad, because my grandmother deserved to be treated with a lot of love and respect. But she was an amazing grandmother, an amazing woman. I think I said it before, we all thought we were her favorite. And that's a special kind of person. That's a special kind of person that will make everyone think that they're the favorite, God, I'll tell you. Anyway, so I always go back into those old days. You know what? I'm at a point in my life where I'm lamenting my youth a little bit. I'm 56. I've said it a few times, and I'm fine with my age. I am what I am. But sometimes I think, I mentioned this before, that time is just flying by so fast. And sometimes I feel like I'm missing something, and I don't know what I'm missing, because my life is a good life. I'm not complaining. I have a very loving husband. I have wonderful children, great grandchildren. But sometimes I feel like it's passing me by so quickly that I'm missing something, and I don't know what. So whatever's there that's meant for me, if it would just show up and show me, that would be really nice. That would be great. I would love that. Because one thing I wanted to be in my life is to make a difference and be useful in some way. Now, it's hard for me to be out there too much. I do this YouTube thing, but, I'm talking like physically out there. Number one, I do have health issues. I also suffer from a lot of anxiety, and depression. Although my depression is pretty much under control right now. Honestly, it's more my anxiety that literally never leaves me. That's just something that's with me constantly. I manage it really well. A lot of times you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know, because I've had it for so many years that I just deal with it, as best as I can. I do not like taking medication because I don't like the feels that comes with that. I don't like to feel out of my control, and I don't want to be addicted to anything, I just don't. So I still feel though like that there's something that I meant to do that I haven't done yet. Now, if the only thing I've done is raise my kids, that they're good people, and they raise their kids and they're good people and contribute to society in some way, whichever way, it doesn't have to be monetarily, just being good people and putting that energy out there, I think that that's good. If that's what I'm meant to do, I'm happy with that, except I feel that there's more, and I don't know what it is. I used to tell a friend of mine who's no longer my friend, that's a whole other story, that I feel like I have a purpose. Like, what is my purpose in life? I got very into the whole spiritual thing a few years ago, what the whole new agey type thing and all that. And I'm still into it to a degree. A lot of it is just fluff, honestly. I like it, love and light and all that, but you know, some of it is just wishful thinking, you know. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But I used to tell her all the time, I just feel like I want to know what my purpose is. And she'd be like, you need to talk to people. She's like, no, people don't talk to me like you talk to me. You know, talking about having a purpose. She goes, you really need to be out. You need to just talk to people. And I don't know what she meant by that, because sometimes she was a little cryptic. I don't know if she meant like just talk to people like I'm talking to people now, or actually go out and talk to people. But she'd be like, people don't talk like that. People don't look for purpose. People just live. Is that true? Do you guys just live? Because I'd like a little bit of that. I literally feel like it's never enough. And I think part of that, honestly, is probably anxiety. And some of it is probably, not some, a lot, probably all of it, is probably because when I was young, nothing was ever enough. It was never enough. It didn't matter what I did. It was never, ever enough. I remember being with my dad. I think at a bank. Now, my parents took a long time to learn English. My mom still does not really speak English. She has a broken accent. I mean, she could have like a conversation with you, but she probably wouldn't understand a lot of the stuff you say. And there's reasons for this, okay? Please don't judge her. There really is reasons for this that I'd rather not really get into. But and you'd love my mom. My mom's a sweetheart. Everybody loves my mom. My mom is the neighborhood grandma, you know. She's the neighborhood vovó, because that's what you call a Portuguese grandma, like Nana, it's vovó. Everybody in the neighborhood, that's exactly what they call her. They call her vovó. And no matter what happened when I was younger, my mom really is, she is a very sweet woman. You know, she's got a very good heart. And my dad, I think, in the end, had a good heart, too. He just had his own trauma and his own demons that he never got past. Anyway, where was I headed with this? Now I've lost my train of thought. Well, it'll come back to me. So, you know, like I said, my parents were not evil people, not by any stretch. They're extremely moral people. They took it to an extra degree that they really didn't need to. But they definitely were not bad people, you know. They didn't cheat people or defraud people or anything like that. They were good people. They lived their lives and they did their thing. You know, I think what I was saying was, the whole purpose thing, feeling like it's never enough. A lot of that does stem from my childhood, because with my dad wanted boys. He got 2 girls. So because of that, I always had to prove myself. I mean, he would work me like I was a boy. My dad did a lot of cement work, because that's what he was. In Portugal, he was a mason. He came here, he did a completely different job. He just started working in a factory, which is what a lot of immigrants do, or did, I should say. And it was very common, you know, somebody got you a job, you stayed at that job, and that's how it was. And my dad, he did a lot of cement work, like for himself, and sometimes he would do it for other people as well. They would hire him to do little jobs here and there. But mainly he did it for himself. So he had me really early on, like 10, 11 years old, probably even younger than that, helping him do cement. I used to be able to mix cement, you guys. I knew the quantities to mix. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I'm not saying girls can't do that, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be at home playing with my dolls and playing with my friends outside. I didn't want to be working like a dog, you know, in 98-degree weather, with him and his friends doing, you know, things that in my view are not girl things, you know. It was no choice. I had no choice. Could I do that today? Mix cement? I probably could. I don't want to. I never want to. I want nothing at all to do with it. I don't consider that for me, a skill that's valuable, not for me, because I was tortured by doing that, in my opinion. You know, it was just, oh, it was crazy. Some of the stuff, sometimes I'm like, what? You know, sheetrock. I mean, I hung so much sheetrock with my dad. I mean, I had to hold it and like give him the nails and stuff. So he had an apartment building that he bought early on, and it was a dump. I'm telling you, this place was a dump. Now, my parents had pride in their stuff, so he started fixing it up slowly, one apartment at a time. And we had the sheetrock and the walls, everything. We had, like, I had to be there from like in the summers, from like whatever time my dad went there, whether it was 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, I don't know, till sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night or even later. There with him doing, you know, whatever he needed to do. Oh my God, my summers were so boring. They were so boring. The only way I could get out of anything is if I pretended I was sick, you know, and I hated doing that because then I'd be stuck in the house and I couldn't be outside. Oh, it was just, oh, it was awful. It was awful. I just sometimes think, I'm like, how did I survive some of the stuff? I mean, we always had plenty of food. Of course, shelter, you know, and it was just a weird life. I mean, even if you talk to my other Portuguese friends, if you would talk to them, they didn't have the same life I did. My life was definitely different. You know, I still have friends from the same community. I mean, we basically grew up together. Some of them were at my wedding, you know, and it was just wild. It was just wild. Sometimes I think, I'm like, okay. And I know I see some Gen X things, and some people had similar experience where your parents sent you to go pay bills and you're like 10, 12 years old or whatever. You went to the store by yourself and all that. And people would like do that. Like my grandson is 12. And I can't see myself sending him to the store by himself. Could he go by the store by himself? Yes, he can. But now that I'm older, it's like he's a baby, you know? He can get into so much trouble so quick, you know? I mean, what age do you think I was the first time I went to not a grocery store, but even just the corner store by myself? I was in Portugal, okay? So it was 6 and under. All right, so I was, I think, 5. I know I wasn't 6 yet. I think I was 5. At the oldest 5. I might have even been a little bit younger. So my mother sent me to the corner store, which was kind of around, like, here's my mom's house here, and you went down the road, and then the little corner store was right here. I still remember. It's just like right down here. It wasn't more than probably a quarter mile, I don't think. Probably even smaller than that, but it doesn't matter. When you're a little kid, it seems like a lot longer. And I was, like I said, around 5 years old. At the oldest 6, but I'm pretty sure I was younger than that. Anyway, so she sent me to the store, and of course I'm like, all right. And she tells me, go get this, that, and the other thing, whatever it was. And I had to remember what it was. And back then it's not a big deal because as a child, your memory's pretty good. Not like now, you're telling me something and 5 seconds later, I forget what the heck I'm talking about. Or even 2 seconds later. Anyway, so she sent me to the corner store. I got whatever I needed to get. And then I get out of the store, and there's all these people in masks just looking down at me like I am all of a sudden swarmed by these people in masks. So I started freaking out. And some of them knew my name because my parents were well known. They knew who they were, and they were talking to me, and they knew who I was. But I had no idea what the hell was going on because I'm 5, probably even younger. And I start freaking out because there's all these people looking at me, and they have these weird masks and stuff. And I didn't know what the heck was going on. So I start running home. Somehow I made it home. So I'm running in the house, and I'm crying and telling my mother what's going on. I'm just like, it's just Carnival, which is Mardi Gras. It's just people for Carnival. It's not a big deal. She acted like I did not have the right to be upset or to be scared. You know, like it was no big deal. And it's like, oh my God, I look back at that sometimes and I'm like, I was 5 years old. Of course I was scared. And I had no idea. She kept saying carnival. I had no idea what carnival was. I'm like, carnival? I'm like, I don't know what that means. I had no idea. You know, I truly had no idea because it's not like my parents celebrated it. I remember them ever celebrating it. I had no freaking clue. I just remember I was like, so I was about 5 years old the first time she sent me to the store. And then we came here to the States. And there was a corner store not too far from us. Honestly, same thing. Probably like around, like here's the house here that we lived in. You went around, like there's a little side road, and then you cross the street and there's the corner store that everybody went to. And I was 6 years old, and my mom would send me to the store. Now, mind you, I didn't speak English yet. Now, at least not really. I picked it up really fast. Most kids, by the time you're here a year, you're speaking English pretty well. But I don't think I have been here a year yet or close to it. Anyway, she sends me to the corner store, and I have to cross this very busy street. Me and my sister, we had to cross this very busy street. And I'm like, what? I think back, I mean, back then you don't know, you don't know. You just do what you have to do. But I was scared. I didn't know. I don't even know how I learned to cross the street. I mean, I'm sure they taught me, but I don't remember. I have no memories of that. So I had to cross this busy street at 6 years old, at the oldest 7, and get whatever she needed, bread or whatever. It could have been anything. And I just like, I think now, I'm like, oh my God, these people were crazy. These people were crazy. And it's not like my mom had me young. I think my mom had me, she was 27? I think she was 27. Or no. I think she got married at 27. So she had me right after. So she would have been she would have been 28 because I was born in April. Her birthday's in February. So she was 28 years old. So it's not like she was a child. You know, like I had my first baby. I was 21. I was still, kind of like not knowing what the heck I was doing, But she was 28 and she would send us to the store by ourselves, cross this busy street. It's the one that we survived. That's all I got to say. I could not send my grandson to the store by himself. I just couldn't do it. I know my son has sent him to around the corner. It's actually the same store. He lives in the same neighborhood, which is kind of funny. And he sends him to that particular store. But I don't know. I just find it so weird. So weird. I mean, my grandson's also 12 years old. I was half that age, and my sister too. I mean, they would leave us home alone because they had to work. And they had factory jobs. And they left us home alone. I was 6 and she was 4. And I had to make sure my sister didn't get into any kind of trouble, because I was the oldest and I should know better. And I'm telling you, if it was today, of course, DCF would get involved. Not that they're any better. To be honest with you, I've dealt with some DCF stuff. Not personally. I've just known stuff when I was working with the nuns. And honestly, some of it is just as ugly, if not worse. I mean, my parents, I guess, felt like they had no other way. What's funny is when I was raising my kids and when my sister was raising her kids, my mom would be like, don't leave them home alone. And, oh, they're too young to be left home alone. They're like 16. They're 16 and my kids did whatever, I really did let my kids kind of do whatever, without, they always knew not to get in trouble, but I let them be kids. And she would be like, you're too free with them. And I'm like, yeah, you're damn right. I'm free with them. I gave them what I didn't have, almost to a fault, but my kids turned out really good. Maybe I'm lucky or maybe they just knew what they could get away with and they only did what they could get away with, which wasn't anything terrible. Yeah, so my kids were 16, or whatever, and she was trying to tell me, oh, you're you need to be more vigilant with them. And I'm like, really? You got to be kidding me. You don't remember? She would do this even with because my sister, her girls, let's see, she's got twins. So her girls were a little older and like 18. And my mom would be like, oh, don't leave them alone. It's like, lady, what are you smoking? Excuse me. Like, what on earth are you smoking? You know, what on earth are you thinking? But I don't know. I guess as you get older, you have a different perspective, or maybe you just love your grandchildren more. I don't know. I mean, I adore my grandkids. You know, I had my granddaughter today. My son stopped by with my grandson for a little bit. Right after work, so it was great to see them because I don't see them as often, and I adore my grandkids, but my kids are my kids, you know. I want to protect them the same way, and I also have made it that my grandkids are my grandkids, and I'm not going to take responsibility for them. You know, their parents have to take that responsibility for them, which I think is healthy. Some people, they go too far, you know. I've already had way too much responsibility in my life, over all my life, that I don't need to take on more than I really, really have to. And I won't do that, you know. Let's see, which number is this? Number 10, that's weird. Blue, okay. I'm not expecting it to be blue, but it is. It looks brown here, or dark, like a darker color. Sometimes these colors, they look so off from what the drills are, and you're just like, what the heck? That's not how it's supposed to look. But when you lay the drills down, I mean, it's coming along really nice, you guys. It's just really pretty. I really am loving doing this one. I'm glad that I decided to kit it up. It's coming along pretty quick. You know, I forgot to actually write the date down. A lot of times most of the time I'll write the date down on the thing here that I started, and I completely forgot. Oh well. It's probably been a couple of weeks. I guess I could look at the video that I had, because I think it's still on my camera, and I can check the about the video, whatever it's called, that feature where I can tell it, because I think I kitted it up that day, that same day. My sister was here, and I kitted it up with her in the kitchen. Because this one, I'm not using my tower for this one. I'm just using my little thingies here, these. So anyway, that was one of my interesting stories from my childhood. And like I said, this is part of the reason I'm still in therapy, because some of this stuff scarred me. It scarred me. And it's funny because I know there are people who've gone through way worse. I mean, you're talking like horrors, truly, truly horrific things. And they seem to have gotten past it. At least they seem that way. And some stuff, I have had a really hard time. It has stayed with me. It's affected my confidence, my self-worth very much, my self-esteem. It's affected pretty much every aspect of my life. And I'm like, when am I going to get better? You know, when is this going to get past? And my therapist, she has said that the healthiest people she knows are the people who sit in that chair. The thing is, I don't want to sit in that chair anymore. Now, I haven't seen her since we lost insurance, which has been a while now. But it's like, I have an appointment, not this month, the end of this month, beginning of next month, because that's when we're going to be getting my husband's insurance. And I'm like, I feel like I really need to, you know, and I'm like, do I really have to do this for the rest of my life? I'm going to be 85 years old, chit-chatting with a therapist? I don't know. Some stuff, and it's not like I don't want to, like, forgive. That's not even that. I feel like I have forgiven a lot of it. It's just the after effects are still with me. Does that make sense? Those things that affected me, they don't just go away, because when you're that young, your brain is wired a certain way, And to rewire your brain, in most cases as an adult, it's impossible. At least from everything I've read. Can it be done? Yes. But those are like your early patterns. I mean, your brain gets wired a certain way. You're already wired, sort of. But then you have propensities to certain things like depression, anxiety, alcoholism, whatever it is. So if it gets wired a certain way, it's very hard to change that, if at all. I mean, am I the same person I was in my 20s? No, not even close. But I still like I'm not that person that I need to be. I guess that's where that purpose thing comes in. I'm still not there. I'm still searching. And I honestly feel like maybe that is my life's purpose, is just to search. Maybe that is what it is. I just have to search. And this is what I do. I search. I've been interested in like religion, spirituality, all that stuff since I literally was a kid. Since I was very, very, very young. I'm a seeker, which you have to be careful when you become a seeker. That's how you can get in big, big trouble with some of these cults and stuff. But one thing about me is I do not like to be controlled, because I was so highly controlled. So I think I would have sniffed those right out. Never got into that kind of situation, but I'm just saying seekers can get themselves into those kinds of situations. But maybe that's what it is I just have to constantly seek, and find out. Because honestly, even at this age, I'm still not 100% sure who I am. Because I feel like I've been what other people have wanted me to be so much that I've never found out exactly who I was. And I know it seems simple to say just be who you are, but it's very hard to be who you are when you've never known exactly who you were. You know what I'm saying? It's never been explored. And even when I've tried to explore it, it actually is kind of scary. It's actually kind of scary, because it's like I have no reference point, really. I mean, I have those small memories when I was there in Portugal and I felt free and stuff. But that was, I was so young. You don't know who you are at that age. You have no idea. You're just a kid having a good time, You have no freaking idea. So, yeah. I'm pretty screwed up, you guys. I'm pretty screwed up. My parents, as much as they tried, they really did a number on me and my sister, actually. I mean, and like I said, I'm not trying to trash my parents. I'm not. I love my parents. But, it was what it was. I am dealing with the things that I deal with in my mental health because of the things that I went through. It's the truth. It is how it is. I mean, I see a lot of people posting stuff about their parents. These are people who I know. How their parents were so wonderful in this, that, and the other thing. And I know that they were either abused or whatever. And I'm like, I refuse to live in that kind of rose-colored glasses world. My world was the way it is, or the way it was. And there's nothing I can go back to do to change it. The only thing I can do is try to make myself a better person, which I've always tried. I've always tried to make myself better, one way or another, whether I'm learning something new, doing something new, trying to help people, whatever. I've always tried to be a good person. And a lot of times I didn't feel like I was a good person. I didn't like myself. I still don't. I still don't really like myself because, number one, I really don't know who myself is. But I have so many negative feelings about myself that's really hard to like something that, or someone that you have a negative view of, And that's on me. It's up to me to get to that level where I really actually love who I am. I mean, do I like my own company? Yeah, I'm getting to the point now in my life where I don't mind my own company. But I don't know. I sometimes feel like I'm not good enough, even for myself. Now, I mentioned earlier a friend. I had a friend. This just happened actually last year. It's actually kind of right around the time I got involved with diamond art painting. And me and this woman, she was actually my massage therapist. I met her through my sister, and she was my massage therapist. And we started talking. And listen, guys, I talk. I love to talk. It's my way of actually relieving my anxiety. It really does help me to feel better when I talk. Anyway, we got to talking. Like, she was my massage therapist. We got to talking, and we turned out we had a lot in common, including being about basically the same age, just like a year apart. And we went to the same school, although I don't remember ever seeing her. She doesn't remember seeing me either, because we were in different grades. Like she was one grade below me. And we had a ton of stuff in common, like all the spiritual stuff that I started getting into. We had a ton of stuff in common. Like, I mean, when I tell you, I felt like I found somebody that really I could connect with on a different level. That's who I thought this person was, okay? I mean, she had a hard exterior, but she went through a lot of stuff too in her life and in her early childhood and stuff. So she had, you know, a lot of things going on, but she was nice to me, you know. But I saw her being like kind of like indifferent to other people, including family members and stuff. But hey, you know, there's a reason why sometimes you are the way you are to certain people. But I'm the kind of person that I give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, because I hope people can do that for me. And anyway, we became really good friends for, let's see, 5-ish years, I want to say. I mean, we really got closer during the whole lockdown thing, because she lost her business for a while because she couldn't do any of that. So she would come here and hang out, or I'd go to her house after work, whatever. You know, we became, you know, pretty close. And I discussed everything with her. She discussed stuff with me. We had, you know, I thought a really good friendship. And then she decided somehow, I don't even know what happened. I literally don't know what happened. She just kind of stopped talking to me. Like, I would message her and I'd say, hey, let's hang out. I mean, we didn't see each other every week or anything. Sometimes once a month or a couple times a month, because she was busy and I was busy. We were doing our things. And all of a sudden, she doesn't want anything to do with me. She just keeps pushing me off or not answering my messages. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I mean, she contacted me once and asked me if I'd give her a ride. That's the last time I actually physically saw her. She needed a ride to go pick up her car because it was in my town. She lives the next town over. And I said, of course, you know, I'm right down the street. Not a problem. I'll drive you. And she actually contacted my daughter. They did a couple of things together, but she never really connected with me that much anymore. It was really strange, really strange. Now, her birthday is right at the end of the year. And I sent her a happy birthday. She said thank you, whatever. And then I think it was right after the first of the year, I finally sent her a message. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, do you not want to be my friend? Did I do something wrong? If I did, let me know. I don't know. I don't remember anything happening. Like I said, the last time I saw her was when I drove her from her car to her house, or from the garage to her house, and nothing happened. When I tell you nothing happened, I am dead serious. Like, everything was fine. I didn't see her after that. Now, granted, she had things going on, and she had her work and stuff. But nothing new, nothing different, really. It was all just the same stuff. And, I said, I feel like we're growing apart. What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And I really poured out my heart. And her spiel was, it's okay if you feel like people growing apart. That does happen, And I was like, oh, this bitch. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, you can't even tell me, like, what I did. If you feel like I've done something, you can't even tell me that I did something wrong. Like, what the heck is going on? So, for some reason, I went on, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram, and I noticed that she had taken me off her pages. Now, when I tell you nothing happened, 100% nothing happened. And she had taken me off her pages. And now, mind you, she had just done something with my daughter. She had done like a little, kind of like a little expo thing or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but something that she asked my daughter if she wanted to do with her. And she did. Within days before this. Okay, it was days before. And I'm like, what the heck? So she takes me off her Facebook page. And she removed me off her Instagram. And I was like, okay. Clearly, you don't want to be my friend. Clearly, I'm not good enough, When I tell you that this broke my heart, you guys, this broke my heart. It felt like a breakup. It felt like she didn't love me anymore. She told me she loved me as a friend, This was strictly friend stuff, and we connected on this level, and I trusted her with so much of my life. And I just felt so broken. And I sent her a message and I said, listen, clearly you don't want to be my friend. And I see that you've removed me from whatever, which there was absolutely no reason for that. So I'm doing you a favor, and I am, she didn't remove me from Facebook. She blocked me from certain things. I said, that's right. She didn't unfriend me. I said, I'm doing you a favor, and I'm removing myself from everything, And her last reply to me was, after I had asked her if she was okay, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Because she'd had some stuff going on, with the whole lockdown stuff. She went through some things, but she was back on her feet. And I was genuinely worried and concerned. And her last thing to me was, I guess I should ask you if you were okay. But it was very sarcastic, I could tell, because I knew her, And that's the last thing that I've gotten from her. Not an apology, not a, are you okay? Not a anything. Nothing. So clearly, I did not matter to this woman the way she mattered to me. And it's been, here we are. This happened in January 2023. Like I said, it's when I started doing diamond painting. I have to have one right around that same time. And it still hurts. It still hurts because there was no closure. There's no closure. If she could tell me, if she could name something I did that I could, at the very least, apologize for, I would be like, okay, either you took it wrong, or, and not like when I tell you nothing happened, and literally nothing happened. Or if she could, or she could say, hey, I was going through this, or whatever. It would give me some closure. Like, I could never be her friend again. It hurt. It really, really broke me, and it hurt. I can't trust. I feel like I can't trust myself to pick friends, because over the years, most people I've picked have not been great friends. And part of that is my own. I have a bad picker. I have a bad friend picker. Because I'm a people pleaser, so I overlook red flags in some people. But like I said, when I say nothing happened and we had fun together, and there was really the only red flags that I saw was the fact that she would dump other people at the drop of a hat. But these were people like family members, people that had done they had long history with her, that things that had happened. But when I tell you, when I keep saying nothing happened, but I promise you, I swear this on my life, not one negative word was spoken between us, not one negative event. Nothing happened. I don't know what happened. I just feel like she woke up one day and said, okay, I'm done. I feel like I was used in a lot of ways during that whole lockdown time, because she had all this extra free time, and so did I. So she used me to fill up that time, I think. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a stupid thing to say, but what else could it have been? Because why are you going to spend time with somebody that all of a sudden you wake up one day and you don't want to be friends with them? Somebody you actually shared so much in common with, and it was just fucking weird. I don't know. I'm still, I'm still mind effed with it, to be honest, because I am one of those people, I need answers. And there's never going to be an answer. And I'm never going to reach out to her. And I know the type of person she is. I think she's a narcissist, honestly, now that I think about it. Or it's not now, I've thought about it. Or she's not a narcissist, but she's got narcissistic tendencies. And I think when she feels wronged, she just cuts people out. She doesn't even give them a chance. She doesn't, let's see. She doesn't even think about them anymore. When she keeps, like, when she cuts somebody off, she cuts them off. Whereas me, here I am. It's been over a year. We're in August, and I still think about it. I still think about it. And I still think, what happened? You know, no, I don't want to be her friend ever again. I don't think I would ever even want to talk to her ever again. But I would like an answer. Some answer. Like, what the hell did I do? You know, what was it about me that wasn't worthy of being your friend? Okay, and that's my own self-worth thing, because what is it about her that thinks she's worthy of being my friend? You know what I'm saying? But that's how I see things. It's like, what did I do, and what about me is not good enough? You know, what about me was not good enough? And I've had this happen to me a lot. And, you know, they say if it happens, something happens a lot, it's, you know, it's you, it's not the other person, but it's not. I know I'm a good friend. I know I'm a giver. I know I'm a person that if somebody needs me, I'm there. That much I can tell you. I know. I overgive, honestly. You know. I don't know. Maybe she saw that weakness in me and didn't like it. Because she's not the same kind of person. She likes to think she is, but she wasn't. She was a very harsh person in a lot of ways, especially when it came to dealing with other people. She, like I said, she could be cold, you know, but like when I say she did this to people that she knew that she had a long history with, so I figured there was that history, something happened, you know, I trusted that. And sometimes I'd be like, you know what? I wish sometimes I could just cut some people out. You know, because sometimes you get tired, but I can't. I cannot cut family or friends out just willy-nilly like that. Especially now. Now I hardly have any friends left, to be honest with you. I have, that's not true. I have a couple of really good friends. And I guess if you only have a couple of really good friends, that's really a good thing. But I'll be honest, I'm the one that's always there for everybody. And it's hard for me to have somebody there for me. I mean, the only person that's really there for me is, of course, my husband, my kids, and my sister, and my mom, you know, to the extent that she can be, you know. That's it. My world is very small. Very small. And sometimes I feel like it's too small. You know, and I am not complaining because I do love my family very much. I am very appreciative that I have that aspect, but sometimes I feel like I would like more. I would like more. I would like more. A couple of more friends that could come over on a Friday night and, you know, hang out and have a glass of wine or something, although I very rarely drink because it doesn't agree with me. I love wine, but wine does not like me, okay? Wine makes me feel terrible. It's pretty much any booze. I'm pretty sure I'm very sensitive to alcohol. Like, I think I have almost an allergy to it, you know, which is good considering, you know, my dad was an alcoholic. My grandfather probably was too, for all I know. It was very common. It's very, very common in that community, especially at that time. So in a way, it's a good thing. So I don't like taking pills. I don't like drinking. I don't do any of that stuff. I have no fun, you know. And that's not true. I do like drinking. I love drinking wine because I just love the flavor of wine. But I just can't because I feel terrible after. It messes with my sleep, messes with my stomach, actually causes me anxiety because my heart starts to race. Oh, it's terrible. Like, I used to go to a naturopath and she said it's because when it's my liver is processing the alcohol, that's when all that happens. So I do think I have some sort of strong sensitivity to it. So I guess in a way it's a good thing. Because I'm not going to ever be addicted to it, that's for sure. I guess if I didn't have that, maybe I would be. So it's a blessing in disguise, right? Because I like it. I enjoy a glass of wine, you know. So yeah. Did I get too personal in this, you guys? I don't know. This is my brain. This is how it works. It starts on one thing. This is how my therapy works too. I start on one thing. 99.9% of the time I'll go to therapy. And I'll be like, I don't have nothing to talk to her about today. What the hell am I going to talk about? Because, you know, I have my good days where I'm just like, I have to go, but I don't feel like I have anything to discuss. Oh, within 10 minutes, I'm crying. And I'm not a crier. I really don't cry. Not in real life. I mean, I'll cry a little bit, but 99% of the time, I don't cry. And that stems from my childhood as well, but that's a whole other story. This is how it goes. I start on one thing and I go this way, that way, this way. It all connects. It's all connected. It's all connected. All of these stories somehow connect. I've actually been doing something called EMDR with her. And it's rapid eye movement. I think that's what it is. Something. I think it's EMDR. Eye movement. Rapid desensitization. Eye movement. Desensitization. I forget. Something where you move your eyes really quick. And it feels like you're doing nothing. When you're doing this, it feels like you're doing nothing. You follow her finger and you, whatever. And I start on one thing and somehow something else pops out in my head that literally feels like it's not connected in any way. And she's like, no, it is connected. You don't know that it's connected, but your brain has made a connection from this thing that's not connected to this other thing that's you think is not connected, you know? And that's how my brain works. It goes, and it doesn't even go in circles. No. We don't do circles. We go jagged edges all over the place. You know, that's how my brain connects things. It's all over the place. So hopefully it's not. Hopefully you like this kind of talk, or give me some other ideas, but I can only talk about what I really know. And we could talk about diamond painting, but I mean, what's there more to say about diamond painting? That's not really, I love showing you guys my diamond paintings, but there's really not a lot to say. Diamond painting is just diamond painting. It's not really that entertaining, you know? So, all right. Well, I think I'm done. Oh my God, I'm almost an hour and a half in. Gee, I talk too much. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for listening, for stopping by. If you stayed around this long, I truly appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, or night, because it's night here. Let's see, what time is it? 8:05 p.m. Wow, it's almost time for bed. I hope you have a great night. And, well, you're probably going to watch this in the morning. Great day. Take good care of yourselves. All my love, blessings, and thank you.